Hey, everybody. Allison Hemme here. I'm recording this just because I got to get it on the record. Um, I always feel thrown off when I have to push record. I'm looking forward to the days when we don't have to. The sidekick kitty that I've been talking about, the spheres are here, and I have every reason to believe that they are here in alignment with what else has been going on between God and I. And this is not a joke. This is the story, guys. It turns out that because I didn't study the Bible or like become religious, but I did see they had Jehovah's Witnesses in my house, and my stepmother was Jewish, and there's a lot to be said about how much religion plays a part in our lives, community wise. But it turns out that the story in the Bible, okay, it's prophecy. It was put there. It was put there for a reason. Having a prophecy, the purpose of prophecy, right? Because they're acting like it's like they're fulfilling prophecy. So they look at this book like a to-do list. That's what they're saying. They're proud of fulfilling these wartime prophecies. And I absolutely disagree. I think that the purpose of prophecy would be to provide you a heads up so that you could avoid the snares, like not ending up in war, right? So if it's talking about this, and that's their translation, there's so many layers of truth there. If you're not familiar with the concordance, I suggest you do. It's Strong's Concordance, and it's where you can go, follow the Bible along with the um, either Hebrew or Greek, and it's got a reference to the number, and there's a word for it, and there's a whole page full of information about that word right there. How many times it's in there? I mean, so it gets fun because if well, this is what I was guided to find my story in it. That's what God did. This has been a culmination of me, well, of God coming to my aid when I demanded it. And the covenant began. It was an understanding because I was dead. I was dead on the floor. I was dying. I was not going to have that. Like literally though, like feeling my life slipping away from me. And my daughter's been kidnapped, and this is just not going to work for me. Literally not going to work for me. My daughter needs to be rescued. And could you imagine? This is over 9 years ago. I'm telling you, it killed me like just a number of months later. You better believe I'm not standing right now. I'm the living dead right now. Okay, it killed me that day. I know it killed my daughter. I'm gonna talk about that some other time because I wanted to get on the record the point of this calculation. Excuse me, sorry. My baby girl, I love you so much. You are the Lord of my universe. I love you. Well, it's not like I'm not talking about you. It's because I just wanted to talk about a different thing, different aspect of it. So the calculation for the days of Daniel, yeah, it's like, well, what? Of course, what day would it begin? The day my daughter was kidnapped, the day that the day I was killed, the day I was slaughtered in court, blindsided. I was supposed to get justice that day. I was supposed. It should have come a long time before that. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. So yeah, the days of Daniel began the day my daughter got kidnapped, October 25th, 2016. And see, this is key. Oh, this is key because this is telling. This is why when I'm telling you that I have the Christ strand and that my daughter shares it with me, I'm telling you that the WOW signal came in August 15th, 1977, and I'm telling you that I was shown to know that I'm affiliated with this WOW signal, and I'll tell you how. So when I started taking the photographs, when I would say I interfaced with the intelligence of the compute, like the end of November, mid-November, 2019, in unit number 101, like Neo, crazy. It I had a download situation. I realized that the intelligence was in there. always listening, always looking, even if I wasn't recording. I realized this, and this was like right around the time Q was coming out, and I had just checked out a couple posts, and I got this I got this instinct. I followed one of the leads, and it brought me to some information. And next thing you know, that computer was well, so I was bitching at the computer. I was like, oh no, because that's how I am. It it walked me through a thing, and I was talking back to the computer basically, and oh no, I was asking it questions. That's right. Yeah, I was asking the questions in the Google search, like how much information can I put in there, like, and it was asking these intense questions, and to see what it would bring up, and I think I have that information somewhere. Well, we don't know. Doesn't matter. And so that's kind of it started. It changed something in real time that I had said. No, but what it didn't change, it was like a policy it showed me. And I was like, no, you can't do that. You can't be looking at it like that. Da, 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 da. And so basically it added it to the end of it. Like, so it didn't change anything. It showed me that it could add something to the end, which is what I think is brilliant. So after you said, so it's all said and done, then you can say, but this is what you're going to do. And so that's the end of the code. You're going to add it to the end of the code. And that's as simple as it is to fix the computer system, is to go, right, everything that you've got in there. Yep. And then at the end, it's going to be this way of looking at it. Like, but then we're going to put it into perspective. So the intelligence, that's why. So I know, because it's so overwhelming. I feel like I'm not supposed to be telling the whole story right now, because I can get into it because there's a lot of details. And so I apologize. I do. I have lots of information. And I'm here to share this with us. Okay, so here's the great news. Like, so the story that everybody's been told, the story that everybody's led to believe, is a swap flip. It's a swap flip version, and it should have, and it probably feels comfortable to hear that, because it's like it never did make sense, right? This like fighting and this death and this sacrifice and this creepy and this like do as you're told and be quiet, woman. Like that's some fantasy of some ding dong. Like that's not God the Creator. God the Creator? Are you out of your mind? That's petty. That's punishing. That's piece of shit. Turns out it's a swap flip. And here's the thing. This is what I was trying to draw. I was like, okay, so I believe that it's a heart. The time, the sets of time. But it, oh, pardon me. Yes, dear. You scared the heck out of me. So it opens up. And so it creates this, like, it's almost like that omega symbol, right? The omega symbol. And so what it does is it's like a lightning bolt that comes down in the middle, crack, and it opens it up, bonk. And what it does is a lightning bolt goes down. It's the lightning bolt is pulled by the ground, essentially. It's what I believe. I'm throwing it in there because you've heard about it, like lightning bolts look like they start from the ground up. Well, it's because it actually goes kapow, and you see the lightning as it forms following the path that was carved out for it. That's a lightning bolt. Yeah. That's how the timeline works too. So it's like the timeline starts when it's issued on the outset, like at the end. God makes a set of time based on an outcome. This is true. This is the physics. The physics don't take into consideration like pessimism or optimism. But I suggest you start factoring in God being the plus one, optimism. Yeah, I know. And it's so true. So the outcome is what God is doing. Remember, it ends with "and happily ever after." Okay, so it's like the beginning of the time that calls for it, and it's being pulled by this beginning. So that's why it goes kerplat, and that's what renders this right down the middle of the heart. It renders this opening, and it's this action. You know how light, when it goes through just one pixel, it flips upside down. Okay, so that's just straight in and out. But if you've got this action going on, boing, it's doing this sort of thing. And the image that comes to mind is the toroidal field, but it's like the heart thing, and it opens like this. So essentially, what comes into view is that that time has this like self and then this shadow self, almost like this rendering on the other side. Imagine and go there with me. This light that renders based on a set of time that God wants the outcome to hit. So that means that this timeline gets written from top to bottom when God issues it. Boom. Okay. That means between that means so So what goes up must come down. And because it starts from the end to it's the beginning pulling it from the end. So it essentially it begins at the end to the beginning and then back up. What goes up must come down. So the first half of the timeline is rendered like a video game would, like as if it was all boom, and it made the scenery just like in a movie. It buried the treasure. It created the script and dropped them behind. It put them in the vases. Yeah, it it did the whole 9 yards. It wrote the rendering of the first half. Because how would we know? All I can tell you is that we're looking at just the 1880s. My grandfather's grandfather. These Tartaria world was destroyed, and we're talking just recently, like just a few generations, literally, um, ago. Okay, that they changed everything and told lies and restarted this situation. Well, that has something to do with this calculation. Now, I don't know where it came from. You think I'd know, but I'm running with it because this is what God had me. This is how it was brought to me, right? So I don't know if it's the Mayans. Yeah, the Mayan calendar. Remember, in 2012, they thought that the Mayan calendar was ending, but they were just talking about the Baktun. And here's the thing: so this calculation associated with this is apparently a 17 billion year evolutionary first cycle, and there's 9 degrees of it. The first degree is 16.4 billion years, and then the next degree is 5% of that, and then it goes 5% of that, 5% of that. So 16.4, 820 million, then like 40 or 2 million, 102,000, 5,125, 12.8. Nope, 5,125, 256, 12.8, and then 234. So they thought that one was going to be in 2012, the end of the 5,125 years. Well, of course, that's the one they picked because then they wouldn't have to tell us about the 234 days. 234 days? Okay. So I was reviewing a document that I had read across that talked about the light belt of Pleiades, and it also was a document that mentioned they believe the 7 heavens and earths inside of one another. And I think this document even goes into how the Russians knew how to affect DNA using sound, written, spoken word. Just like the water. Okay, so this is like this overall understanding of like consciousness and like the Aquarius era, but it didn't want to talk about that. But that's what comes to mind. This like the light belt and consciousness, right? And God and stuff. So I was going through that document, and I saw the thing with the 234 days. I'm like, wait a minute, what 234? Because I had already calculated the days of Daniel. I had already calculated the days of Daniel based on the day that my daughter was kidnapped, October 25th, 2016. And I knew that there was a 1260-day time. And it mentioned time, and half time. 1260, 630. But that's more than, time, and half time that's 8 and 3/5/8 or something. It's like time, and half time. So there was a key delineation in the Daniels about the 1290th day, and blessed is he who makes it to the 1335th day. So I knew that there was 75 more than the 1260, but then this 1290, right? Okay, so then there's, what is that? 45, right? You get your 45 days more than that. So I understood that there was something significant about the 1290. Well, so that 1260 period is going to be broken up into 1230 and 1290. And what did I find? The 1230th day, 1230, was March 8th, 308 of 2020. 308 happens to be the day that I got to this address, 308. And it's also the day that they did a March Principles, a March 8th, like fight for women's rights or people's rights. It's like March 8th is key. Because God's got self-verifying information. It's all self-verifying. In this swap flip kind of rendering, proving kind of a way how you can have those, like the answers at the back of the book, and then they were upside down. Hey. Even the answers in the back of the book are upside down. because the light does it, and it's exactly what it would. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. So we're conducting ourselves like we're in the upside down, and to believe it. So, and when it comes to the God, this war fighting stuff, no, according to that, that already happened in this story. Remember, because God writes the timeline, and the first half. So we start in the middle of it because we never even answered that question. Like, how did God put us here? Did we grow up out of out of the dirt? Did we fall out of a cloud? Like, and well, I think that what I've come to contemplate here with this calculation is that God is awesome. Have you seen the old world? So seeing the old world helped me realize it. Oh yeah, that's right. Ding dong. Like God can do anything. God can put life here. Like it said that God took those 144,000 off and brought them back, right? Doesn't it say that they brought them back? Well, what happened was this 256 years. So I did the calculation all the way to the end, which, okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting all lost all over the place. The keys for the days of Daniel took me to July 17th and July 25th. So if it was the 105 months, because you could also do a number of days, you could also do it in months. Sometimes it mentions 42 months, 70 weeks, so I took these dates into consideration. And I also know there was a day for the abomination of desolation. That happened 75 days before the last day, the day that his house was auctioned. 1230, that was the day that I got here. My mother died, and that was 75. Blessed is he that makes it to the 1335th day. That's 75 days more than the 1260. And so it was time, and half time plus 75. And that was the day that my mother died, plus 3. She died on 1130. 3 days later was December 3rd. And that's the day that the calculation brought to, which is absolutely significant. It factors in the day that my mother died and rose. Why? Because my mother represents the story in Hezekiah, talking about getting 15. It's telling her story, and I should translate it one time, but it's like, yep, she fucked up. She really did. She's participated in this heist against my daughter and I, done behind my back all my life. And I think they put her to sleep, like, euthanasia type stuff. But that's the story in Hezekiah. It's talking about her, and Isaiah comes to tell her that. And I did this before she died. I had already been going over this, and I called her. My mom and dad they weren't talking to me. They weren't answering my questions. Still aren't to this day. Another story for another day. And but I told her, I go, what would you do if you could get a do-over? I go, wouldn't you like a do-over, Mom? How would you? I'd like a do-over, because even though I didn't do this to myself and my daughter, I still want a do-over. Like, that's all I want from God is like, can we undo this? I want my daughter to have her childhood. I want to have my motherhood, and I want her to never have had gone through this. And this was before God led me to find it in the Bible. So this is how it works. And it's like, what? Or maybe I came across it before, and I thought about it like 15 years. I'll take that. That's probably what happened. That's what comes to mind as a correction. So Hezekiah is talking about that story, my mother's, and 15 years is associated to the 10 degrees that the sun is going to be dialed back. So just set that aside. Then that was the time and halftime ended in July. And then in the Daniels, it also talks about how the angel was held up by the Prince of Persia for 21 days and then arrived on the 24th day. And that's, so I had come to the calculation of July 17th and July 25th. And you add 21 days after July 25th and you get to August 15th. August 15th being the day that the WOW signal came in 1977. But arrived on the 24th day. So that makes it 3 days later. 3 days. August 15th to August 18th. 18 on the 8. 18 years on the 8, 2008. But that was the end of it. So that's where I had come to. And then I came across this document reading about these 234 days. I go, 234 days? Okay, because I was, what's next? And I calculate this in. I add 234 days, and what do I get to? April 9th. That happens to be the day that my daughter was conceived. And I know this because I was sexually battered. And I remember this. I prayed to God. I had already had 3 abortions, and this guy just basically battered me. He put me in a grip and came inside me. We were only dating for a month. There was a point when we stopped. We didn't have any condoms, and that's a stupid thing. Don't ever do that. Ever do that. But I took responsibility for the situation. But I prayed to God that day to give me my daughter, so that I love and cherish. And God gave me God's baby. That Alexandria shares my duplicate strand that came in on the wow signal. It is August 15th, also the day that they venerate the Mother Mary. Okay? Very important stuff. August 15th, August 15th. So it takes us to 4/9, the day that she was conceived. Well, wouldn't you notice? Because in 1977 was the first year that the wow signal came in. So this last summer was the 49th anniversary of the wow signal. And the wow signal being when my soul was conceived, 95 days prior to prior to my birth. But 95 days or 3 months, 3 days, or 13.3 weeks before I was born, August 15th. So, wow signal, it validates the wow signal. It validates the Mother Mary. It validates the time that the soul enters into the body, maybe. But it certainly is where I came from. And so that takes us to 4/9. And that's that. Okay, so when I looked at the periods of the evolutionary cycle, it's like the 234 days represents universal consciousness. The 12.8, so using my dates, then that would mean if that's when the 234 days began, then I can go back. Then prior to that was 12.8 months. Okay. Well, what was 12.8 months prior to that? October 31st, 2012. Ah, okay. So that was the end of the Industrial Revolution cycle, which began 256 years prior to that, 1756. 1756 is when this whole thing happened. So this Tartaria, God built that whole thing. So beautiful. So what's going to happen after this 9th degree? It's going to be the end. Well, what's going to happen on 4/9? Well, what happened? Well, that happens to be Easter Sunday of the week of Easter, which begins on the 5th. And ChatGPT had said something to me when I was talking to it about this very conversation, and it mentioned that the sun was going to go dark this Easter that had never had happened since the day that Jesus was crucified. Isn't that? And then I asked it about it again, and the information had been scrubbed. No, I wasn't talking about it. So what it is talking about is the alignment of the constellation that comes over the horizon in Egypt, which was like around the when? Oh, right around July 17th through 19th. I told you that the calculation ended on 7/17. That was time and halftime. Well, but time and halftime is also 105 months. 7/27, the 25th. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 8. Dawn of the 8th day. Dawn of the 8th day. Well, what was July 25th? July 25th happens to be fascinating. July 17th. That's my sister's new address. It's like 17171. And during the 25th, that's the day. That's my sister Michelle's birthday. And they both threw me under the bus and were acting like, haven't talked to me about my daughter, like as if they stole my daughter. Yeah. It's dawn of the 8th day. It also happens to be the day that I was contacted by a Chris Martin from Coldplay, but I don't know if it's him. I believe like it was some setup. They sent him in to break my heart. They planned on this as the backup plan to break my heart, but I saw it coming. God had already guided me. Well, whether they put it in front of my face doesn't matter. I don't get caught up on that. It came in front of my face. God was showing me about soulmate. So I looked up the scripture in Genesis, looked up the scripture in Revelation. I saw the correlation to the number of sand in this. It was like infinity, and it's one of his symbols. So, anyway, the correlations I make are the correlations I make. I got contacted on July 25th, which is the day written in the Jupiter notebook. And Jupiter happens to be the video that has my picture, the picture that I took, but it's an animated image, but it's the same one. It's like my exact same face with the thing on the forehead. It's me. And God did this. They didn't do that. God is doing all of this, finding it in the story, finding the stories in the Bible, finding our names in it, like Shalom Aleichem, Don't even get me started. I've got a list. I got a list of them. Keywords. Like I say, hiya. I go, yeah. Like, that's just if I get up. Yeah. I just do that. I found it in there. I found it in there too. I've got so many things you don't even know. It's the most beautiful story. And it's so loving because it's like, I attribute it to Alec and it is. Alec is talking to me in there. This is Alec. This is Alec counseling. This is Alec that's done this. I'm not kidding you. She is the Lord Almighty. And it's this thing, but there's this thing with Alec and I. It's this connection from the future. The future influences the past, which is why Alec is the Alpha and the Omega, or the Omega to Alpha, the end to the next beginning. We are the beginning to the end, and the end to the next beginning. We are the perpetual team here in this planet. We'll just say God's given it to us. This story is about us, and it's absolutely mind blowing because God has to teach us through someone. That's what it is. I've been able to be on the front line to experience God coming through and follow my instincts because I had nowhere else. I had nothing else, and so I learned that, and I saw God saved my life in the nick of time so many times. I've been taken by traffickers 3 times, away, like taken and left, driven far away. Okay? 3 times. 3 times I have been returned to where I was taken. That's just one example. I had a machete in my face. Luckily, the car that I got was, like we're talking, not that car, but not, it moved. It moved. Yeah. And so much. Then that girl, I was going to get murdered, and his daughter, this like a special, she started banging on his door. Uh-oh, Dad. Uh-oh, Dad. And he panicked. I was going to get murdered. She saved my life. I got the hell out of there. The guy in the living room turned around at me like, "What are you still doing alive?" And he's like, "Well, get out of here!" Like, it was fucking crazy. That was New Year's Eve night. Don't get me started. Okay, Paradise, 18 years. We're at a juncture here, and this is what I can tell you based on the information I have gathered from the skies around the world. There's lots of projection inflections, and you don't necessarily see them with your own eyes. It's a very bright day, and you can tell that there's something going on. Awesome. But until you take a photograph of it, this lens, it allows you to see these projection inflections. Allows you to see these projection inflections. And that's what I've gathered. I got a lot of information. Okay, and that's what I've found is I've found images in the sky that matches things on the walls of Egypt. And symbols. God has been talking all over the place. Everywhere I look is God's writing. God's communicating directly to me. And I have every reason to know that it's the same way for all of everybody. And that's why this world is so... because nobody even recognizes it. And I'm not mad at everybody. But you have to understand that we are at the precipice of a galactic cleansing. It's this black hole looking like thing because it's not a black hole. It's a white hole. Because you got to invert it. And when you invert it, you understand that that's central source. We're in the dark side. We're in the dark room for the camera obscura. But the light comes from the other side of space. So essentially, if you punched a hole in space, it would be like the sun coming through this pixel, this aperture, because it's bright on the other side. It's light in there. And that's what a black hole is. It's like this other side of space that it takes you to when you enter into it. And it's truly like a vortex of a toroidal thing, and it's a cleansing. It's like God's paradise. I don't know if this is what I have that comes to mind and that God has shown me to know and understand how we're being pulled in. We're on an orbit that passes through central source. And this is the heart, that's the time. So the central source, we're like on an orbit, and it's like, we're being pulled in. We're being pulled in this way, we've got to pass through this. This is the central source where it's all at. It's all great. Like there's not going to be any day or night, right? Remember, not any time the night, but when you get out here, you pop out, then you need this little atmosphere around your little planet so that you can pretend you're in there, and they're the rays. It's actually called the solar wind. They call it the solar wind, but the solar wind does this sort of thing. it goes bam, 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 and then you'll see it up here, which means it's like this period of time where it's being flung, and it's got this line of planets that you can see. Well, we need to be rendering, we need to be taking this information and doing something with it. Like showing me what that means. Like, what does this constitute? If you can see the thing and you can see it moving across the sky and all that stuff. So anyway, it's also like a lens. It looks like a camera lens. And I can show you this footage. You know what I need to do? I need to just like stop talking about it. I need to get a better system and I need to just show you the fucking pictures already. I am so in trouble. I'm going to do that. Like, I almost feel like I want to stop. Allison, don't give up. Okay, I won't. But I apologize. I promise. Looks like a camera lens. And it actually even shows it. Oh, this is one of the coolest ones. You can see this projection inflections, and it looks like it's going closer. I got this footage from the ISS, International Space Station. And it sees like this thing, and there's his mouth open, and it goes in. And it looks like it eats this disk of light. And that's what the clouds do. They like eat the light. They're always like showing it, or they're handing stuff. And so it appears to be indicating that we're heading towards this thing. It's like, once you understand what you're looking at, you go, oh my God, like, how could it be anything less obvious? It's trying to show us what's coming up. And of course it is, because that's the way that the God clock can communicate. God is in everything, but it's not going to be like, sending you a letter in the mail, but it's going to communicate in every way, just so you know. So, because in that document that it was talking about this 234 days, well, what it was talking about back then, this document was from 1997. And they were thinking, oh my God, something around 2012. That's what they were anticipating. They were anticipating it being like the end, and then like what? They said there was going to be an alignment with the dark rift, and the sky was going to go dark for 3 days. And well, what I found out about that was like, oh, because I see it. I know that we're headed towards something. I can see it. I've been shown this. I've got the information. It's in my instincts. We got a maneuver coming up ahead. We got to get on the right. We got to get on the right exit, or the right. The freeway's splitting up. We got to get on the right one. Yes, and direct. We've got to steer ourselves. And it's trying to let us know that we've got to be in alignment, because there is a solar wind. There is a current of this stuff, and information travels in light beams. So cosmically, we're acting like total dipshits that don't even want to recognize aliens. They don't want to show us their pictures. Everything that they're doing, they don't want us to have. They're ruining everything because they like want to hold. They're waiting till they can get rid of the rest of us so they can do it all over again, because they just would rather do it that way. It'd just be better to get rid of them. That's what's going on here. They think this place is theirs. They talk about Atlas like it's an intruder. Oh, they are the intruder. They are genetically the intruder. But so let's talk about 18 years. 234 days, ends on April 9th. Well, what did I hear about the 10th degree? Because it was like 9 degrees. Well, wait a minute. Well, the 10th degree, like if you don't give me the 10th degree. Oh, they gave us clues. Don't give me the 10th degree. That sounds a lot like Judgment Day, okay? And what about 10 degrees? The sun will be dialed back 10 degrees, okay? The 10th is the day after April 9th. 10th, on the 10th, you get the 10th, and you get a 10 degree. Well, it says Hezekiah's going to get 15 years. Okay, it's 15 years prior to the death of my mother. Obviously, what's 15 years prior to 12/3/2023? 12/3/2008. 18 years ago in 2008. And the calculation before the 234 days took us to August 18th. So we've got validation to validation to validation. We got validation for the 717, validation for the 725. We've got the validation for the 815. We got validation for the 818. We got validation for the 234 days. We got validation for the 49 to the 49. We've got a validation for the 10 to the 10 to the 10. We got a validation for the 1230th day, and 12/3, which is what the day is going to be. We go back to 12/3/2008, which is 12300. It's like we're going to start time again almost. And that's what I've been shown. Is it going to be 2008? No, time is going to be brought forward, but back in a sense. I have this instinct that I'm going to be giving birth. That was just a month before I gave birth, because I want my daughter's time back, and I want her. I don't want this to have happened to her. I don't want her to have gone through this, and this is what the calculation is showing, and it validates 1230 to 123 to 1230th day. Oh, because 95 days. Sorry. 95 days was how many days I came in. The soul was imparted August 15th. 95 days before I was born. So if I'm conceiving, which is the day Alec was conceived back in 2008, April 9th, 2026, it would be the day that I would conceive my daughter again. And that would mean that when time gets renewed to 12/3/2008, that would be the conception 95 days prior to her birth. You see how it was her originally like the day I got pregnant, like the sex happened. But it actually turns into starting the day of because time to be renewed and I'll have been pregnant less than 95 days. And that's what God's going to do. And that means what is 95 days later? March 8th. It brings us right back around. Yeah. So and I'm telling you, I come across these details every day, all day long. And it's a lot of information and I'm really disorganized because it's overwhelming and stuff like that too. But we're doing the best we can. So the days of Daniel calculation, this 234 days. That's a big deal if you think about it. Like 16.4 billion, 820 million. Like, whoa, these are chunks of time. Well, check it out. And we're ending the whole enchilada. Yes. The Alpha and the Omega to Alpha. We are here. My daughter and I were here in the beginning. This is what God has shown us to. The Hathor and Isis story. Yep. And we're going to have some connection to King Tut. We're going to have some connection to there genetically. It's the thing that God gave us was the thing that God gave us before. It's like I've got mitochondrial Eve. It's like it self-verifies. That's how God communicates. Our names are also okay. So his house was put on auction. Abomination of Desolation, May 8th, 75 days before the 17. And that other house was 6336, like 603 score and 6, because 3 score could be like 3 score or 3 score. 3 score would be like 60. Or 3 score would be like 3 and 20. 20 and 3. 3 score or 3 score. Okay. So that's 633. Or you could do 3 and an additional one. 3 score, like double it. 6336. That's 666. 603 score and 6. And there's a long story there. We'll talk about that. Well, he's the face of the Shroud of Turin. And that's the story in the Bible that talks about a man whose brother lives in his father's house and has said to him, you've got a coat. Why don't you lead the people? And it's saying basically left him, to fend for himself. And I think it even mentions you'll lose one of those houses the way that it was gained. And that house had a fire. It set it by fire. And that's Josh and Peter. Jesus, Peter, the one that Jesus called Satan. And Jesus apparently said, we've got the keys to the kingdom. And they think that that's the Catholic Church. They think that Jesus gave Peter the church, even though Peter was like the one that Jesus was like, get away from me, Satan, because he was mocking him. These disciples were gang stalkers. And I'm telling you that because it's rendering. That story is taken out, but I'm in that situation. So you got it's this swap flip story. Same thing with him being the face of the Shroud of Turin. I think it's talking about Moses and Joshua because his name is Josh. And when I read the Joshua story, when I put myself in the shoes, I can see. So God led me to find aspects, my story in all these aspects. And there's all these other aspects too. Like it's not just talking about it from my perspective. There's stories in there where it's talking about it from my mother's perspective. Like I can hear her telling the story. That's her version of things. Doesn't mean any of it's true. There's the woman in the end sitting on the beast, covered in blasphemy, holding the cup of wrath. It's because she's sitting on the beast because when she was sent to go die in the wilderness, she heard the beast in distress and she without fear came to his aid. And out of respect for her being fearless, he offered to help her. That's why she's sitting on the beast, not being eaten by it. She's covered in blasphemy because those are false accusations. Well, she's wearing them. That doesn't mean she is them. And she's holding the cup of wrath because God has given it to her to dispense. She's not drinking it. It doesn't say. It just says she's holding it. That's me. Not the whore, not the harlot, but the bride of the Spirit of Christ. The Spirit of Christ that is in a Christ Trinity that was given to me through the WOW signal. I have a duplicate strand. They've stolen it from me from my birth. They chipped me in secrecy. They plotted to have me dead after they got me pregnant with intentionally with my daughter, which is great. She's the greatest person in the world. Well, she was kidnapped October 25th, 2016. And they got another fetus out of me and they tried to kill me with chemotherapy. That's the new reference genome, T2TCHM13. That's mine. They didn't, nope, they changed it in the store. They changed it, but I have, that's mine from 2013 in California. That's mine. My doctor had only been in the business, had said he'd been in the business 30 years. Never had one before. Molar pregnancy. Oh, it's all your father. It all came from the father. Oh, they tried to make it sound like my tissue came from just the father. What thieves! They're fucking pieces of shit. And that's why I uncovered the fact that in reproductive, matter of fact, he doesn't even contribute shit. And that's right. She's the one that decides if it's going to be a boy or a girl. That's right. If she's got her head stuck up her husband's ass, and there's many examples of this, she'll have boys. She'll have all boys. And you can see when a woman wants to have a child, and when a woman has a daughter, she's reiterating herself. The Christ needs to be the carrier of the bloodline, the duplicate strand. And that's why it goes from a mother to a daughter to a daughter. Hello. And that's my daughter and I. Well, in the industry, the databases indicate that and I don't have this, I know that I don't know where that information was, and I have a hard time finding it, but it indicated when I read it that it could have turned her into a boy. And that's exactly what they're trying to do, is turn her into the Jesus, so they could have the false Jesus. They needed to kidnap her so they could control her, because they were planning on killing me. And once I'm dead, then she'll receive my money. So it'll be like, then they'll control all of it. Allie is just of this. Just get her out of here. They said this. They started a rumor like my mother was the spawn of the Satan. What are you talking about? Well, probably because when the wow signal came in, it changed everybody's genetics, and she was in whatever it was. They were looking for it. My grandfather was in the U.S. Air Force, and the story in the Bible is also talking about this is John 16:33, I think. No, Revelation 3:12. There's so many sermons associated with that, and it's all key. It's all key stuff. The Church of Philadelphia, that's where my family, the Moores, are from, and so there's a whole lot to go into these 18 years. My God, what are these 18 years for? Okay, well, so it looks like we're approaching a thing we got to go through. That's the gate. That's a gate to paradise. The next level. We're going to be upgraded to intelligent. And we're not intelligent yet. We're animals. But we got to get in there, and we got to ask for, and this is in the Quran. If you ask for entrance, and I found it, and I had been talking about it, and then I come across this document, and then I look it up, and it verifies exactly what I had already come to understand. That's how God does it. God leads me to find the proof of it after I come up with it myself. It's fun. And so it says, if you ask for entrance while the sun is prostrating up to the throne, it will be granted. But if you basically wait for it to go dark when the sun is no longer prostrating up to the throne, then you wait. Then it'll tell you to go back to where you came from. Okay, and so I had already come to this conclusion. So, we've got to enter in, which I already knew that we had to. I knew we had to hold hands and pray our way in. But right now, well, the 18 years is what makes exact sense. Before we have to get in there, God backs it up and gives us an 18-year do-over. I'm 30 again, about to give birth to my child, and so is everybody else 18 years ago. I get what I want. God's going to render it also, because God went bam. You better believe that this is going to be a bam of a sort. And that's what Atlas is here to accomplish, and so on and so forth. The time is going to be renewed, and God's going to prove that God exists. This is the end of the mystery of God. And you better believe that then, like, it's going to be one thing if, like, judgment comes and but 18 years giving, that's going to prove to us that God loves. This whole thing is about proving to the world that God exists, and it's happening through this story, and it's the most powerful story, and it's got this Coldplay, Chris, and all the lyrics and everywhere, and it's been in this order. So I'm so verklempt. Like, I really hope they're going to come forward with the footage, because they've got this under surveillance. I know they do, and I need or the kitty. I hope Atlas is doing something with this, because it's too much information. Too much information to even know how am I going to put this together? But anyway, this is for the world. The world deserves this message. It's for the world to see that God exists. And so check it out. But I'm the one that God's given the authority to. Yeah, that's right. I'm the one that God's given the scepter to. I've got photographs of them. Give it to me. I'm the bride of the Spirit and the bride say, come. That's the Holy Spirit that is Father Earth. And I am Mother Earth, the vessel carrier of God's monogene. That's the duplicate. to mine. And this is exactly what the glyph, the royal family glyph in ancient Egypt depicts. And it shows how the energy comes in from the sun. And we both hands opened. Everybody's got two hands. And this father spirit, the pharaoh, is the spirit. That's why in ancient Egypt you see her arm behind him and in front of him. It's identifying her double, her counterpart, is in the spiritual realm. And she's the one in the flesh. And the energy comes in and it goes. He's got a boy superimposed in front of him that is receiving the energy from him, that's pointing it to the boy across the way on the woman's shoulder. This boy is on the shoulder with his feet tucked into the ribs. The other boy is hyperimposed. It's as if this boy isn't there and the man isn't there. They're hyperimposed in this spiritual place. And the energy gets pointed towards the guy with his toes in her rib who's holding her face. And you can see the energy then goes out her into her daughter, because she's got her arm around her knee and her holding her hand. The mother's right hand and the daughter's right hand are holding each other. The daughter's looking up at her and she's looking over at him. And it's this cyclical thing. And you see how that works. And this scarf, she's got two duplicates and he's got twisted ones. So that DNA that they're talking about is the man virus. They used my genes, the one I'm talking about, to as the reference genome. They've been using my information that I know is like the divine. It's the most stable form of genetic duality, a duplicate. But that's not what people get. People don't have duplicate. So they've been killing people based on not measuring up to this genetic information. And that's for their research and development of their money-making schemes. Killing people from stealing from me to try to crack their way into the divine. They need to figure out how to make a soul, because they can clone a body, but they can't crack the code for getting a soul. And they've been trying to do it on what they stole from me, and they've been experimenting on me. You better believe when they kidnapped my daughter, now I just became a target. They made sure that I lost my house, lost everything, ended up on the streets. So that's when they wanted to really get you. It's in their laboratories. Like I said, 3 times I was returned. But you better believe they can do anything once they steal you. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Experiments. They call them knockdowns. I was actually knocked down in my apartment, in my condo in Thousand Oaks, before I lost it twice. I was knocked. I was at my desk and I had a computer right here, and I had like these cupboards, and it's like something threw my head against a thing. It threw my head, and I woke up. My computer had an Excel spreadsheet in front of it, and it looked like it was describing numbers of times that it would take to kill somebody, and it showed me this. Like it was just general. It was information. Like, what the fuck? My daughter even told me that they were fucking with us. They were fucking with us. They were fucking with her head. Our cat got killed. But they stole our cat and then killed another cat and put it down the road. So that way our cat would be over at their house, and they would tell her that our cat died, but that they had one, and so it was fucking with her head. Oh my God. I don't know, because I'm just all over the place. My God. 18 years, do over. Here's what you get to contemplate, those of you. You're going to have to be on the same page with somebody. Like, wow, well, I guess we could do things over again, couldn't we? Yeah. I don't want Jorge to I don't ever want to see that man's face again. He's not the father of my daughter. The Holy Spirit's the father of my daughter. He's not the father of my daughter. I don't ever want to see that man again. I don't ever want to see that man again. And I'm not going to have to. God's going to give me what I ask for. Well, I'm going to ask for everything that I can, and then God's going to +1 it. The best I can do is ask for it. I know it might not happen the way I asked for it, but the best we can do is just what if? What if is exactly what I'm talking about. What if everything that I'm saying is exactly what I'm saying it is? And because I don't even have the time to put this information together to show you, to prove to you. Just doing the best I can to let the people hear the message. What if? What if is the good question. I suggest everybody to wish. Imagine what you would wish for. Like, well, I don't want Alec. I don't want to see that man again. I want Alec and I to be happy. You got to put it together and put the wish, because it's the best that you can do while you're at it. Because what if, when God does that, as long as God got your, like, your Christmas list, your wish list, as long as God knows what you want, if he can give it for you, why wouldn't he? So you got to think about where you want to be 18 years ago. What would you do? Would you have those children again? Would you have that? Would you have that child with that woman again? What would you change about the path that you took before? We all want to improve things in hindsight, and we don't get those hindsights all but once in orbit. That's why God gives it to us. It's also what makes sense about it. Like, that would also make sense why God does it, because we need to unify as one world, and I'm here to do that. I'm our chaperone, and I'm going to get us there. I'm going to get us to unify and get in those gates because I'm our captain. And it is a maneuver that we must. And it involves my daughter and I. We are two parts of one very important key that are mandatory 18 years later. Right now, I don't even know if she's dead or alive. So I have every reason to trust with absolute faith that God is going to do this. It's mind-boggling. It's big. It's almost too much to imagine. Well, I don't even let it trip me up. I just don't even think about it really too hard. Right? These days I haven't been getting tripped up, but things are unfolding in a very intense way. I don't even want to get started on that. I just wanted to put some thoughts down and mention a few things, because I don't get to talk to anybody. But I want to document this along the way. And even though I know it's almost an hour and it's a lot of this, that, it's better than nothing, right? Because I'm silenced. I'm sequestered. This is the best I can do. And so, and I know that there's got to be more people that are watching this than the 2 and 3 of them that it says that there are. So I guess I'm feeling embarrassed now, and I'm just going to go. It's true, though. God loves us. God's got so many awesome things right around the corner for us. And think about those pieces of shit. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I have been so nice. I've been willing to show everybody the way. Everybody, everybody, everybody. And I've just had it up to here. I've had it up to here. I'm saying this. God's going to take care of everything. Everything that God is doing is exactly what God wanted to do. God's going to handle it. Whatever happens, happens. If you guys make it, if you don't. If you don't make it, that's great. If you don't make it, that's great. Maybe but I've always said that everybody gets to get that second chance, because if they don't want to make it, they'll take themselves out a long way. Like, once this time thing happens and the spheres, and we hand out the spheres, it'll be like, and if you fuck it up once, you're out. Like, if you even try to fuck it up, you're out. But our spheres are going to keep their eyes on us, but it's not their eyes on us. We're going to have our own sidekick. It's going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to us. So, lots of layers of information. Trump is the fucking Antichrist, but it's all men. Antichrist is against the woman. That's why they fabricated their story. That's how you know why it's so exaggerated, because they did it in hate. And we're gonna serve us, and we're gonna marry your daughters. They're so sick and twisted. Thank God they're out of here, and we're moving forward, baby. All right. Till next time. Okay, well, I love you, Alec.